the issue of policy brief is very important because GSS produces a lot of statistical data, but we need to find a way to translate this data into evidence that can be used easily by policymakers to inform their decisions.
One of the things that we've been trying to do and as an institution is to improve the utilization of data in terms of policy programs in our country. We want to pivot not away, but also to include, apart from data production, to include engaging policymakers, decision makers to use our data in their policy formulation. So interestingly, in short, we just want to build a data-driven society.
Considering that they already have a background in data makes the training a bit easier. I saw a lot of enthusiasm, people who are ready to learn, to unlearn, which I felt that it was very necessary introducing them to new knowledge area.
There are three areas we are trying to look at, particularly in terms of policy areas. One, data as a driver, as an initiator of policy programs. That is, once we produce data, the data shows a particular activity or situation in our society, and that data should generate a particular policy, initiative, or an intervention. So that's one way. Another way is also to see data being used as a statistical target in all policy programs. So we don't want policies or programs or being set up without statistical targets.
I think this is very important for national development in a sense that I want to make sure before government allocates budget to programs, to policies, there should be evidence that it will work. But most of the time, our policymakers are not technical people. And so we need to bring down the jargons and make sure that we present policy options to our policymakers in using tools that they can easily understand.
We from the Ghana Statistical Service, we have different users or audience. The business community, academia, students, name them. And we normally package different products at each particular point in time. And so one of the things I have taken from this training is the fact that, yes, given the reports, the volumes of report that we regularly churn out, we need to unpack them in policy briefs that speak to specific stakeholders or specific users.
It's been a highly effective so far. One of the things we've done so well that makes it very effective has to do with how engaging it has been, activity oriented. So it is not more or less in terms of somebody standing in front of us and passively delivering lectures to us, but it's been more engaging, more active, where we have groups set up, where we set up in groups and then engage in real activities in terms of how we can put together statistics and all our productions or products into a policy prescription that is also usable.
Unemployment rates, we look at rural recording 12.3 and then urban 14.2. This data was generated from the Stats Bank. So with this, it gives us that causes of this effect, the pull and the push factors affecting the rural-urban migration.
So for the third course, we identified the digital divide in limited access to civic education. That again, we backed by statistics from the Digital Exclusion Thematic Brief Report that was published in 2023. And from that particular report, the statistic was that 25.2% of persons, and that's 15 years and above, did not use the internet in the 3 months preceding the census. So this is an issue. Once they didn't have access to internet, how then could they even get information on issues regarding civic responsibilities?
One of the key things that should come up clearly from your heading is the fact that this is from a non-traditional data source. And it should be in your heading.
Sure.
You should couch it in such a way that there will be a reflection that this is from big data.
I would love to hear something mathematic that you would suggest as a possible solution. How this could be addressed in a very innovative way.
So the document we worked on is on corruption, and this is the title of the main document. So this is the final independent in-depth evaluation on the Ghana National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, that is NACA. So what we decided to do with this document is to look at beyond the plan, what happens. So according to the 2030 agenda on the Sustainable Development Goals, corruption is one of the activities that affects sustainable development. So it is an area of interest.
This is a very good learning curve that we had. In my own work that I do as a regional statistician, we come across several issues that we are supposed to present to our districts or regions as it is. As at this morning, I was just invited to do a presentation on education regarding the low-level attendance in Savannah region. In fact, learning this, when I go back, I'm going to put all this into policy briefs that would actually help the educational sector into projecting what they can do in actual fact to achieve very high rate of school attendance, as it is very low in Savannah region.
I think we managed to present it in a way that it was very simple to understand. I'm sure many of them came thinking that it's going to be a very complex thing, but we made it look very simple, introducing them to the structure and they selecting policy issues that they want to write policy briefs on, made it easy to engage and to relate. And I'm very hopeful that this training will go a long way in supporting GSS to translate as much of the data that they have into policy briefs across sectors so that decision makers can use as evidence.